Hey everybody, what's going on? It's Egan Media here, and welcome back to a brand new manga recommendation video. In my last manga recommendation, I told you all to go and check out the Rosario Vampire manga series. A series that I'm sure you may have heard about as an anime, but I'm sure a good portion of you didn't even take into consideration checking out as a manga. And honestly, the manga series that we're gonna be recommending today is quite similar to Rosario Vampire in that respective manner, because I don't have a doubt in my mind that you have heard of this franchise before. I think it's near impossible to have avoided this franchise at some point in your life. Whether you're a fan or not, doesn't even matter. Because this thing is an absolute colossal giant of a franchise, but you may not have known that it has a manga series. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to introduce you to the Pokemon Adventures manga. Now, if you've been around on the channel for a good while now, you've probably heard about this manga series via me, because I attempted to make a Pokemon Adventures manga dub series. It only got 2 episodes, but I am so in love with the end product of those 2 episodes. If you haven't seen those already, please go ahead and check them out. Great way to get started with this, honestly. I will always recommend that. But for those of you who have not heard of this manga series before, let me real quickly burst your bubble. This is not the anime in a manga format, and this is barely the video games in a manga format. Instead, what this manga is something completely new that you have never seen before from the Pokemon Company. A lot of things that happen within this series never happen within any of the mainline games, which is insane to see. And honestly, something that is even crazier to see is that there is no anime adaptation for this, which is genuinely just mind-boggling to me. I'm gonna just take 1 second real quickly. We were with Ash for so unbelievably long, and once his story finally wrapped up, I was like, we have the material here. Keep in mind, this isn't even half of what is currently out for this manga series. And for some reason, they just decided, no, we're gonna make a brand new series. I get why, don't get me wrong, I get why. It's because they wanna keep up with the relevancy of all the regions that are currently being introduced and stuff like that. So that's why it took place in Paldea and Scarlet and Violet and all that good stuff. But this is so good, and people need to know about that. Whatever. Okay, I'm getting too ahead of myself. I need to explain to you all what this manga series is even about, because I'm sure a lot of you are just sitting here being like, okay, if it's not the anime, if it's barely the games, what the hell even is this series? I'm glad you asked. The Pokemon Adventures manga series does take you through all of the regions that we are familiar with in the Pokemon world that get introduced via the game. So, you know, Kanto, Johto, Hoenn, Sinnoh, stuff like that. But it changes up a lot of things as we go through the corresponding stories of these regions. But one of my favorite ways to talk about this manga is basically if the writers were like, okay, so we use this story as like a baseline and just what if it. So they throw in new concepts, new ideas that have never been done before in any Pokemon media, and even add in new characters, new story beats on top of it all. It's super refreshing to see for a franchise that's been around for 30 years and barely does anything to kind of keep these characters interesting, to say the least. It breathes a lot of new life into the characters that we've known for so long. So all the gym leaders that are just like, oh, I'm Lieutenant Surge of the Vermilion Gym. Let's go, kiddo. And like, whatever. No, you're not gonna be getting that Lieutenant. You're definitely not gonna be getting that Lieutenant Surge in this series. It also gives just more depth to every single character that exists. Every single character that exists within this series. Remember Bill from Red and Blue? Yeah, wait till you see that character's involvement. And you know, while on the topic of characters, let's talk about how the main ones work, because I'm sure, as some of you may have thought already, well, if this goes through all the different regions, how does the main character situation work? Is it Red throughout the entire thing? Does he travel throughout all these different regions? What happens when we go to a new region in the series? I'm so glad you asked, because those are great questions, so allow me to answer them for you. What ends up happening is that basically when we travel to a new region, we enter a new story arc. Obviously, the beginning one starts with the Red, Blue, and Green saga, and we follow Red, Blue, and Green. When we move on to Johto, we are in the Gold, Silver, and Crystal saga, and as you can assume, we follow the Gold, Silver, and Crystal characters. Now you may be thinking, oh, so when we get to Ruby, Sapphire, and Emerald, we're gonna be dealing with, you know, Brendan, May, and Wally maybe? Nope, you're gonna be dealing with Ruby and Sapphire, which is honestly, okay, bubble breaker real quickly. All of the characters are named after the game titles, which is very, very interesting because I need to start reading the Black and White series. This is Sinnoh. I finished that. I don't know what they're going to do when I eventually get to the X and Y series, because there's no way you're just gonna name your characters X and Y. I think they give them full names. I'm not 100% sure, but that's something for me to check out when I get to that. But regardless, I'm getting too ahead of myself. Every single character, main character that you see within the series has some distinct skill or just natural talent about them that makes them stand out in comparison to every previous trainer. So for example, Red, I think he's the one that got like really good at battling, like that kind of trait. But in comparison to somebody like Gold, they have completely different skill sets that make them stand out and that take them, each of these characters, on different paths that will eventually lead together onto one path and join them all together for a big climax of this story. It's honestly so brilliant that the people who make this manga took these characters who have almost nothing about them, but just gave them so much life. I'm talking about the main characters, by the way, if it wasn't clear enough, because literally the main characters are nothing but just press A and keep walking. And to see that they gave every single one of these characters some trait that makes them stand out within the series, it breathes new life into what we know of as these characters. And it's genuinely because of that reason alone that I recommend any Pokemon fan to start and pick up these volumes. Which, by the way, let's start talking about how you can start reading the Pokemon Adventures manga. Where can I read it? Is it online? Am I gonna have to grab each of these volumes? What's the situation here? I'm glad you all asked. So right off the rip, I do have some good news and I have some bad news. We're gonna start with the bad news. The bad news is that there is nowhere online officially, you get what I mean, where you can read this manga series, which is super unfortunate because this is licensed by Viz Media and they have an amazing website that allows you to read not just their Shonen Jump titles, but a lot of their, just Viz Media titles. So I'm hoping one day they add the entire series to it, but as I said, no way to officially read the Pokemon Adventures manga online anywhere. So what that means is that you're going to have to collect these volumes physically. Now, I'm sure you're gonna be looking at all of these and say, excuse me? Buddy, that's too much. And you know what? I completely agree. If it wasn't for how easy and accessible these are, everything that you see here, and I'm missing some stuff, is available within a box set, a complete box set that takes you through each of these story arcs. All of this stuff right here came in a box set. All of this stuff right here came in a box set. About a portion of this right here came in a box set. I've collected these ones just because I haven't found the box set in person. I like to go out and buy these in person. This as well, in a box set. But if you're not really feeling the box set and maybe you just want a bigger collection that will maybe cut down all of this into half, because this entire saga will take you to 29 volumes that you have to collect. At least down here. This right here will take you down to 29 volumes. This is Red, Blue, Green, Gold, Silver, Crystal, Ruby, Sapphire, Emerald, Fire Red, Leaf Green. This is Diamond and Pearl. So this is probably 41 volumes. If you want to cut down at least this, a significant portion, you are in luck because there are collector's editions of the Pokemon Adventures manga. And honestly, I see them every single time I go to any bookstore that is within my area. They are always showing the collector's editions. They're relatively new as well. So if you do have a local bookstore where you do get your manga, you probably are going to be more than likely seeing the collector's editions. Sometimes you'll see the box sets, but even if you don't have any sort of bookstore in your area, these are very easily findable anywhere online. So on Amazon or any other retailer that you may use, you'll probably have a really easy time finding any of these. So accessibility, very much so up there. Online accessibility, oh, that's a different story entirely. I myself do not have any of the collector's editions because as I started collecting the series, it was not out. I don't know if I might have started collecting them just because it's really nice and it saves a lot of space. But I'm not upset with any of this just because I do like the individual volumes. That's just a me thing. That's purely just a me thing right there. So you do have a bit of variety when it comes to how you wish to collect and go through the series. Hi, how are you? Future Egan Media here. New haircut, different chair, that doesn't matter because I real quickly want to tell you about something that I just got news about a couple of days ago. If you have seen my Pokemon Adventures manga dub episodes, or if you haven't and were planning to go watch it after this video, I got some really good news for you that couldn't have come at any better of a time. Consider it my early Christmas gift to you. My buddies over at Cosmic Star Productions are going to be picking up my Pokemon Adventures manga dub right where it left off, and I will be reprising my role as Blue. I can't speak for the rest of the cast as I haven't asked or have been told if they are going to be coming back to reprise their roles as Red or Professor Oak. I was basically any of the background characters, but you get what I'm trying to say. The project is alive, it's coming back, and it is going to be in way better hands than when I had it, because I was only able to do 2 episodes and I just kind of had the panels pop up, the text boxes become visible, and that was it. But these guys are going to be doing more than I ever did. These guys are going to be actually animating the panels that you see in front of you so that they can have more of a dynamic and, you know, big effect on the screen. I've been good friends with these guys for a good while now, and I have so much faith that they can bring this project to life in ways that I could never do before. So if you guys were fans of the original 2 episodes, like I said, or if you were going to go planning to watch it, go watch those first 2 episodes. Go subscribe to Cosmic Star Productions. Their link is going to be down in the description below because they're going to be picking it up. And I'll even say I already recorded my voice lines for Blue already for the very next episode. So be on the lookout for that because I'll tell you what, I am very much so excited to see my voice lines being put into something that I didn't have to edit. And with that being said, let's go back to the video because I don't know where the hell I'm going to put this in. So bye from the future. Now, if everything I've told you this far isn't enough to convince you to start checking out the Pokemon Adventures manga, maybe it be that you've never read a manga before and it's just kind of a little foreign to you, or if, you know, just reading isn't your thing, which I completely understand and I'm not judging you for, allow me to give you one more point that I would like to sell you on when it comes to this manga. Something that really blew my mind to hear was that this series was officially endorsed by 2 big ups at the Pokemon Company. 1, by the president of the Pokemon Company, Ishihara, and 2, by the man who created Pokemon himself, Satoshi Tajiri, with his exact words being, "This manga series is the closest representation to the world that I envisioned." Meaning that everything that happens in here, how the Pokemon live, breathe, how they attack, how they battle, is the closest interpretation that Tajiri thought of within his head. The games, sure, they can try, but they don't get as close as the manga does. And Ishihara just said, I think that every Pokemon fan should go and read through this manga series. So if you are a Pokemon fan, endorsed officially by the creator of Pokemon and the president of the Pokemon Company, and with me telling you, hey, if you're a Pokemon fan, you should seriously check out this series. I don't know what more convincing is gonna work for you. I genuinely hold this series to such high praise because of everything that it has done for the Pokemon franchise. Normally, if you hear about this series in any YouTube video, it's probably gonna be people like, oh, well, let's make some teams for some characters. Well, in the manga, these characters had this Pokemon, so I think we should give them this Pokemon and stuff like that. But nobody ever goes into the full detail as to the ride that these stories take you for. And that is genuinely what I want all of you to experience with the Pokemon Adventures manga series. But with that being said, that is going to be everything I have to say for you today regarding this manga recommendation. If you have enjoyed this video, please be sure to go ahead and check out the other manga recommendation videos that I have made. We've talked about Rosario Vampire, as I said at the start of the video, and I recommended you an older series called Rave Master, made by none other than the same creator of Fairy Tail, which is it's a good series, I promise. But on that note, my name is Ziggy Media. Thank you all so much for watching, and I'm going to catch you all in the next one. Take it easy.